So, Ohio State is looking to head on another national championship run this year, with Julian Sayin returning in his presumably final year, Jeremiah Smith in his final year, Matt Patricia probably in his final year, with 51 new players from the portal, a lot of them veteran guys that will not be here next year. Next year, you will have a true sophomore, redshirt sophomore at quarterback in Tavian St. Clair, who's ever played before. You're losing Jeremiah, and you have no remnants whatsoever except for Ryan Day left, and part of the coaching staff left from that national title team. So this is I would say the end of this elite window from what we would say 2022 to 2026. This 5-year run of absolute dominance, where I think it might go down a little bit after for at least 1 year until Tavian gets a second year. But obviously we'll see. But today I kind of wanted to talk about what my biggest concerns for Ohio State. We're going to go position through position. We'll go special teams, and then we'll talk a little bit about coaching at the end, and we'll talk a little about the schedule. And it's kind of what is the biggest position concern for Ohio State? For the most part, for most positions, I don't have a concern. For wide receiver, I'm not really concerned. For quarterback, I'm not concerned. For defensive line, interior, I'm not super concerned. And for cornerback, not super concerned. But there are a couple positions where I actually am a little bit concerned. And let's start on the offense. So I will say a thing that I don't think is a huge concern, but I definitely think is a bit of a problem, especially now in spring with injuries piling up, and that's the running back room. Last year, you had a good running back room with Bo Jackson and Isaiah West, but now both of those guys are out for spring. Bo Jackson really was great at kind of getting to the 10-yard mark on his runs. I think on average, if I pull up Bo Jackson's stats, he had his touchdowns were lower because we gave all of them to CJ Donaldson last year. God, my internet is so slow. I don't know what's going on with my internet. It's been so bad. Literally opening Google tabs is taking forever. I'll wait for that to load. But really, he would get to 1 to 10, and then he wasn't ever really able to break that last tackle, which could turn an 11-yard game to a 50-yard game. If they're in zero, is it getting past the linebacker? If they're in cover 1 or cover 2, is it getting past the safety? He had 1,100 yards, only 6 touchdowns, and had 6.1 yards on average. That's right outside the top 30. So not great. So that's definitely something that he needs to work on, especially, 6 foot, 217. Maybe you would hope he gets down a little bit, gets a little bit faster. Definitely, I think he's more Isaiah West is probably more of the Travion build. I don't think Isaiah is as fast. But he wears 32. He has the kind of more shorter, stockier, or the kind of thinner build, where Bo Jackson's more of kind of that Judkins build. So maybe he wants to stay higher. But yeah, I hope he stays in 25. I really like the 25 on him. I think it looks really good. But specifically, if you remember that Michigan game last year, early on, he had a run that I think would have been a touchdown, or at least a 50-yard gain, where he got tripped up at the last second by, I think it was a safety, and that's something that we've seen a ton, especially working on outside zone, which it sounds like Arthur Smith is really going to be working on, which is great. Which I also will say, having the 2 tackles out does not help if you're going to work on outside zone. But anyway, Ian Moore and Carter Lowe can get some reps, and that's something that I think could be really helpful for them. The next kind of position group on offense is the tight ends. Tight ends were pretty problematic last year and recently. Talk about the play last year. You're losing Max Clare now, but even with Max Clare, I can't believe he went to the NFL. What an absolute mistake. You went from being a 5th-round pick to, if you would have came back, you could have been a 2nd-round pick. Huge. I'm not saying he doesn't care about Ohio State, but he didn't care about Ohio State. He doesn't care about Ohio State. Come on. He left. He was here for 1 year, didn't do much. No one's ever going to really remember Max Clare, which is disappointing because he was supposed to be one of the best tight ends we've had I think G. Scott was better than Max Clare. Like, I think G. Scott his senior year was better than Max Clare, more productive than Max Clare. Also, Julian didn't really know how to use that slot receiver tight end, but especially in the running game, was a problem. Even with Will Kazmarek being as good as he was, with guys like Nate Roberts being a true freshman, Max Clare couldn't block. Kazmarek was good at blocking. Max LeBlanc wasn't good at blocking. Bennett Christian was just terrible all around. So it's been problematic, and it's definitely a room that needs to step up. This year, you have Nate Roberts in his second year. Last year, he really only played fullback. Hopefully, he can actually be a vertical passing threat with Hunter Welsing from Northwestern, because without Max Clare, those are your only two passing threats. It's Nate Roberts, who's a traditional receiving tight end, and then Hunter Welsing is a receiving tight end. Go watch, if you have not watched Hunter Welsing, watch him versus Michigan. I think he had 6 catches for 80 yards, and I don't even think he had a touchdown. But if you watch those 6 or 8 catches, they were incredible and kind of have similar game to, like, I don't want to say a Colston Loveland, kind of like not Sadiq. Kind of like, he's like a bulkier Sadiq, kind of. He makes those athletic catches. He's also, white boy. He's not Sadiq. No one's Sadiq. But I definitely think maybe not as athletic as Max Clare, but also, like, Max Clare had the opportunity to, like, make a bunch of athletic catches, and then he just never did. Max Clare was nothing last year. I won't say he was nothing, but Max Clare wasn't a huge impact. You're also bringing in Mason Williams from Ohio, same thing as Kazmarek. Not at all as what Kazmarek is. Kazmarek was like a 6'6", 280. Will Kazmarek was an offseason away from being an offensive lineman, or fullback. So Mason Williams, I know he's a tight end from OU. He's not going to be Will Kazmarek, but he's a veteran guy. He knows Kazmarek. I loved Will Kazmarek last year, but they definitely need to step up. You would hope under Arthur Smith they're going to be able to fix that. It does sound like Arthur Smith is going to be working a lot more in 11 personnel instead, which is great. We want that. But, for your goal line packages, for your third and short, maybe for your second and short, you kind of get these tight end heavy sets, and we can hopefully get better on bootlegs. Maybe that's something that Tavian will be better at because he's a better runner. But we'll see. But definitely they need to step up in the running game and also filling in for Max Clare in the passing game. The last position group that I want to talk about on offense, and I think we all know who it is. Obviously, it's the O-line. And oh boy, let's talk about the O-line. Let's talk about them. So, heading into last year, a lot of Buckeye fans and channels, podcasts were very high on them. Like Juck on Bucks was very high on them. I was very high on them too. So I'm not like placing blame on other people. I was high on this offensive line. A lot of people outside of the fan base weren't at all. Like College Football, like with Sam, I get he's a Michigan guy, but no, people were not really high on this offensive line. I was like, oh, we're going to prove you wrong. And I'll be honest, I was wrong. The offensive line was not great. And they looked great early against teams like Texas. Even late in the season against Michigan, they looked really good. Julian was untouched. But also the guys on the offensive line were the guys with like that stepped up in the championship, the playoff run with all the injuries, without Josh Simmons, with Donovan Jackson sliding out to tackle, without having Seth McLaughlin, even with Josh Fryer getting hurt for part of the season. This was with Tegra not being great, and Tegra wasn't great this past year as well. But it's like, oh man, these guys on the offensive line took on guys like Colin Simmons, James Pierce out of Tennessee. So they took on like really good guys, and you would have thought after the Michigan game, like, here we go. But I think a lot of that might have been with coaching. With Justin Fry, he kind of duct taped that whole thing together, and with Tyler Bowen, he's a great recruiter. Tyler Bowen is the exact opposite of Justin Fry. He is a great recruiter, not a great developer. Justin Fry was a terrible recruiter, but man, he was a damn good developer. But with the offensive line last year, yes, they didn't play well against Indiana and Miami, but they didn't play well against Wisconsin or Purdue because they were stunting them. Michigan didn't do a lot of stunts. They kind of went their front four, and that's kind of the reason why they dealt with them, I think, pretty finally. Ohio State's offensive line did against Michigan last year. But, against teams that were stunning them, against elite pass rushers, the offensive line was absolute garbage. It was terrible. Even against Penn State, against the stunts. I mean, Carson Hinsman was letting not Chaz Coleman. Maybe it was Chaz Coleman. Maybe not. I don't know. But letting the edge rushers denied Denison to, completely just pass straight up the middle of the offensive line. And it was problematic. It was, I'm going to be honest, it was bad. And you look at the coaching staff, Tyler Bowen was probably the weakest link in the entire coaching staff. But now for going into this year in the portal, Ohio State did not really I don't think they brought anybody in. I think they might have brought an FCS guy from, where was he from? I don't remember his name. Don't remember what he looked like. Never heard his voice in an interview, and I don't remember where he came from. But I remember Dartmouth. He came from Dartmouth. That's where he's from. I remember. I think it's Dartmouth Ivy. It's not like Ivy League, but I guess it's kind of like Ivy League. But I think Ryan Day a little bit scarred from the Ethan Oniawa experience. You paid $1 million for a premium left tackle out of the portal from Rice. Paid him $1 million, and he was terrible. He wasn't even the third string right guard. That's how bad he was. Tegra was bad. That's how bad he was. So Day, Tyler Bowen, the offensive staff, they stuck to their guns with returning 4 out of the 5 starters. Tegra Shabola, the right guard, goes to Kentucky. Thank God. And most of them are all seniors and upperclassmen. I think the only one who's not a senior is Phillip Daniels. I think he's the only one who's not a senior. The O-line, look, when you return 4 out of your 5 guys and they're all upperclassmen and returning second, third year starters that are seniors, that's recipe for a top 5 offensive line. But it also has a chance to be really bad. They have the chance to be really good. But, I saw how they played last year at the end and looked really bad. And it's not like they can get a little bit better, and that's who you have top offensive line. They need to get a lot better. And it sounds like the dream scenario is having Austin Sareveld and Ian Moore at tackle. You have Carson Hinsman at center. You have Luke Montgomery at left guard and Phillip at right guard. Or you can keep Phillip at tackle, which it sounds like they're going to do. I think that is a mistake. You keep Ian Moore at left tackle and put Sareveld at left guard and Montgomery at right guard, I guess. But, Sareveld is probably the second best tackle. Saraveld's going to be an NFL guard, but it's I would rather have a better tackle than a better guard. So, they got to figure it out. I don't know how I feel about Phillip at right tackle. Because if Phillip's at right tackle and they want to keep Sareveld at left tackle, then who's your right guard? Ian Moore? Ian Moore's a left tackle. He's a tackle body. So Day needs to get, I think either we don't know something or he's being stubborn. And Day is stubborn a lot of the time. A lot of the time, he's very, very stubborn. So, but yeah, dude, week 2 on the road against Colin Simmons. I guess Colin Simmons didn't do much against Ohio State last year, but this is his money year. This is the year Colin Simmons might be, what's the edge rusher award? Is it not the Buckeyes? That's a linebacker. What is I don't remember what the best edge rusher award is, but whatever it is, he's going to probably win it or be a contender for it. So they need to step up for them. And with the schedule being more of a problem, this is when you really miss TreVeyon Henderson in pass protection, because pass pro was really bad last year without Donaldson. Again, pass pro was kind of the only thing he was decent at. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully Bo can be better. Maybe I think Isaiah might be the better pass pro running back. And obviously at the end, Tyler Bowen, he just needs to step up because he's the weakest link on this coaching staff. So that's all for offense. For defense, I want to start off at edge. I don't have much concern for the defensive line and the edge rusher, but with losing, I'm sorry, excuse me, I have the hiccups. With losing Caden Curry, you're going to have a spot that needs to be filled opposite of Kenyatta, and plus losing Arvell, so you basically lost 2 of your best edge rushers. With Caden Curry and Arvell Reese. So opposite of Kenyatta, it's probably going to be either Quay Russaw from Alabama or Zion Grady, who's a true freshman last year. And I think Zion Grady is going to be great. I think he's probably going to be the starter. Maybe it's Quay Russell. But I don't know. I think Zion Grady is probably the best prospect. I will say Quay Russell, if you remember 2 years ago in the Alabama-Georgia game, that was the one game with the Ryan Williams, the legacy game. Quay Russell had the strip against Carson Beck, which gave Bama the ball back. So don't have much concern in the interior. I think interior is going to be fine. Maybe there might be some penalties with James Smith. Hopefully Larry Johnson can get that figured out, which I think he can because the coaching in the SEC at Bama has not been great. I think the coaching in the Big Ten, especially at Ohio State and Indiana and Oregon, are so much higher and so much more elite, where I think that can definitely be fixed up. For linebacker, coaching under James Laurinaitis, who played at Ohio State, if you don't know, has been absolutely incredible. I mean, they talked about they were negatively recruiting against him, saying he has kids, he can't recruit, he can't commit to Ohio State, and he's been amazing. He's had absolute studs. You know, Cody Simon, Sonny Styles, Arval Reese, Riley Pettijohn, now even Peyton Pierce. And if you want to go back, I mean, you guys weren't high on him, but I kind of like, I mean, Steel Chambers or Tommy Eichenberg back in 23. I think that was Laurinaitis' first year. But now you're going to have Riley Pettijohn, who should be the starter aside from Peyton Pierce or Christian Allegro from Wisconsin. You did lose the best two linebackers you've probably had in 20 years, maybe since Laurinaitis, and Arval Reese and Sonny Styles. And now in the schedule with Ohio State, you lost your best spy, Arval Reese. We're playing a lot of like really good mobile dual threat running quarterbacks. And it helped when Kenyatta would cage, but he wants to pass rush. So I don't think he's going to be caging as much. Plus, you're not having Arval to spy. I mean, when you're playing guys like Arch Manning or Bryce Underwood or Dante Moore, even Dylan Raiola, if he got some playing time, we saw what he did in the Columbus in 24. I was at that game. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. Plus, Riley Pettijohn is out for spring. Again, one of these other things where it's like, God dang it, dude. All of these players, especially the younger players who need to step up, are out for spring. It's a problem. Patricia's going to have maybe a fit trying to get... he's going to have to get more creative because you don't have guys like Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, Arval Reese, Caden Curry, Caden McDonald, Igbinosun. I mean, you don't have these guys anymore where I think he's the best coordinator in college football. And if you don't think that, you're on crack, which sounds like a lot of you guys actually are. So, but I mean, with Riley being out, Austin, Phillip, Bo, Isaiah, all being out, it's like, damn, dude, like, this might be, it's only spring. They'll be back for the summer and they'll be back for fall. I mean, if you remember when Edric was out at the beginning of last year, I was like, oh, Edric's out, it's going to be a big problem. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not. And then he didn't really play it all last year. It's like, oh, maybe there was a nagging injury. Maybe it actually was a problem. But, I mean, Caden McDonald made up for the most of it. But, yeah, for younger guys trying to step forward, it's definitely not ideal in a championship run. And a championship run when you're relying on freshmen and they're out for spring, yeah, that's no bueno. No bueno. DBs, my only concern is Jermaine, really. It sounds like Cam Calhoun will be decent. Sounds like Dominic Kelly can be pretty good. Devin Sanchez, I think, is going to be the best cornerback on this team. Even though he's a true sophomore and Jermaine's a senior, I definitely think that, I mean, you've all seen the clips of Jermaine. You've seen it. It's not great. Chris Henry cooking him. Brock Boyd cooking him. And Devin Sanchez is out here locking up Jeremiah, even though they're bad balls, I know, and they're behind him and they're late. We don't know who's actually throwing him those passes. Maybe it's Tavian, maybe it's Luke Fahey, I don't know. But I worry. Jermaine did not have the best end of the season last year against Indiana, against Miami. So I worry. I worry a little bit about that. Safety, my only real concern is Terry Moore, the safety transfer from Duke. To me, he was supposed to either be the first or the second best player on this defense. Now it doesn't even look like he's going to be starting. Earl Little Jr. from Florida State was supposed to be the third corner and third safety, playing that nickel role, the hybrid between corner and safety. That's kind of what Jordan Hancock and Lorenzo Styles have been playing the past couple of years. But now with Jalen McClain kind of playing that free safety where Caleb Downs would be in the box, Earl Little is more of a box guy. It sounds like he is going to be playing the box, the second starting safety. And Terry Moore, who hasn't really had his name mentioned at all. The coaches aren't talking about him. When Day talks about him, he just talks about how much of a veteran presence he is. He's not talking about how talented or how well he's playing. He didn't play last year because of an ACL tear, but the year before that, he was a top 5 safety. It was like Caleb Downs, Terry Moore. Those are your best safeties. And then I think you had the guy from Georgia. What was the Georgia safety? What was his name? I'm kicking myself for this. Georgia safety NFL draft. Malik Starks or Malachi Starks. Those were kind of like your top 3 safeties. He didn't play last year because of an ACL tear, and now I thought he was going to come in here and be the best safety in the country, at least the second best safety in the country. I mean, he might not even be starting, and that's really disappointing because I was so high on him, and I think will be a huge blow to Ohio State if he cannot start, if he cannot even contribute at all. Special teams, look, can Connor Hawkins be better than Jaden Fielding? If he is, great. Let's go. Okay, Brandon does not fumble. Great. If he doesn't fumble, that's great. Let's go. We got Legend Bay. He's also out for spring. So if he can get better, let's go. Coaching, everything's fine, really, except for Tyler Bowen. I've already talked about Tyler Bowen enough. Kind of like, at the end of the day, like, the biggest concern is O-line. The lack of transfers plus what we saw from last year, kind of getting their ass beat twice, it's not ideal, but I definitely like that a lot of them are all seniors. I like that it's not underclassmen. Who's starting at left tackle is definitely a question, but that's all I have for you guys for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We are 2 subscribers away from 260, trying to get to 500 before the beginning of this up and coming season. If you want to help us get there, that would be amazing. Also, if you enjoyed today's show, please hit the like button. It means the world to me. And also, turn on the notification bell if you want to get a personalized notification every single time I release a new video. But again, that's all I have for you guys today. I will see you guys all tomorrow. And as always, thank you.